All right, just most of you guys know me and probably have for years. Used to be with Uniworld and Lovejoy. Back in '94, I went to work as a rep. Started my own business in '01, actually September the 1st. Was not the best timing in the world. 10 days later, the towers came down. But these are the lines that I represent in the, I'll call them the Middle Atlantic states. For some of these companies, we go further out, but generally speaking, Mid-Atlantic. And you can see, actually, Cleveland Gear Systems, PTI, those three companies are all IDC members, which you probably know already. The rest do not participate. Systems is a gear coupling. Send is a torsional coupling for diesel engine applications. You probably know PTI as metric and inch dimension bearings and belts and whips. Peer Chain, which is an organization that I've just become associated with. In fact, we're talking to Billy about the possibility, Billy and Joe, about the possibility of actually appointing you guys as a master distributor in the area. Hanson gearboxes, those are large parallel shaft gearboxes. Shimpo drives, which is cycloidal gearboxes that compete with, and in some cases, interchange with the Sumitomo line. Craft bearings, a split bearing and housing. The whole bearing is split. It competes directly with Cooper. France is a ball bearing and conveyor wheel manufacturer. You see, in fact, Matt and I were up at Super Value, and they have roller conveyors, miles of them, right? Mm-hmm. And every one of them has two of them, not necessarily a France product, but certainly something that they can make. C-Cert is a permanent thread repair product. It's a little tiny company. It's patented. Meyer are torque limiters, couplings. Z-Rust is a preventative. It's like a shrink wrap or bags that prevent rust. Micropoly is a solid bearing fill. You probably are familiar with most of these companies. If not, we can certainly talk about it after the meeting. These are the companies I represent. And my son and myself have been covering the Mid-Atlantic for quite a few years now. All right, let's get on to the shaft mount stuff. All right. A little bit about Cleveland Gear. They are still in Cleveland. They have been in business. Last year was their 100th anniversary, so they have been in business for 101 years. They are recognized primarily as a worm gear manufacturer. They have, in my opinion, the broadest worm gear line in the industry. When I say broadest, what I mean is they start down at the 1.33 inch center distance modular throwaway gearbox, and they go all the way up to 54 inch gearbox centers and open worm gearing. All your other major industry leaders, people like Grove, people like Winsmith, they may start out, and they certainly do start out at the 1.33, but they fall way short of the capability that Cleveland Gear has in terms of large center distances. These guys sold primarily years ago into the steel, pulp and paper, those sorts of industries, where large worm gears at that time were in demand. They have two product groupings now at Cleveland Gear. One is what they call their core product. That's those big worm gears that go into steel mills and paper mills and so forth. And then they have their distributed product grouping, of which the shaft mount is one. Modular gearboxes falls into that category, and shaft mounts fall into that category. All the other business is core business. We have a separate building that houses the shaft mounts and the modular gearboxes. And then the production side is where the core business is conducted. The gears are actually made in Cleveland, not these. The core product. So this product, along with the modular gearboxes, which you guys have sold a few through the years, are imports. So you need to know that going in, because when you get out there and you talk to these guys in the quarries, they may ask you where it comes from, and you need to be upfront with them and tell them it's an import. We don't hide that fact, but what we do say, in addition to that, is it's supported, warranted by Cleveland here, which is a U.S.-based 100-year-old company. You will find, as we get into this, that there are other companies that import their gearboxes. Probably the most well-known is Worldwide. You all heard about Worldwide? You know who they are? Worldwide imports their gearboxes. Worldwide, however, is a marketing company. They don't make a single thing. They buy overseas. They try to find the cheapest thing they can. They put out a catalog, and they put out very low prices. And they sell from a cart that's strictly a marketing company. Whereas Cleveland is a base manufacturer in the U.S. We can repair these if need be. You know, any warranties go back to Cleveland. They don't go back to, you know, Shanghai or some other company over in China. So this is the brochure on the desk there. This is a presentation of that brochure, and it's a very simple, straightforward product. Who knows who the leader in this industry is? I'd say Dodge. You would say correctly. Dodge is the industry leader, has been, has never lost that title. And when you go out there, you're going to find that primarily you're going to run into your customers who are going to say, they may say, well, I have Dodge throughout the point. My maintenance guys, they're familiar with Dodge. I don't want to mix and match. You know, they know how to take it apart, they know how to assemble it, so we're okay with Dodge. The fact is, the Cleveland gearbox was modeled after the Dodge gearbox. This is a drop-in to the Dodge, including the motor mounts, okay, the bushings, and the gearbox itself. So they may tell you that they're familiar with Dodge. If they're familiar with Dodge, then they're familiar with Cleveland gear.
So literally, if
literally
the customer has existing Dodge with motor bases, motor arms,
right,
backstop,
right, everything in winter
all shafts.
So all they want to do is buy a gearbox.
Or they're saying
they can buy a gearbox, keep their accessories, and this gearbox will drop into that.
Which is one of the things we cannot do with Brown.
Right. There are half a dozen shaft mount manufacturers, well, probably more now, because there's a bunch of imports out there that are, again, like a Worldwide. But the leaders are Dodge, followed probably by Falk or Rex, which are now the same company. And then Foot Jones maybe, and then you got people like Hub City, you got Sumitomo, Cleveland Gear, and then all those other guys who are importing, Brownie, all those other guys that are importing these things and trying to sell them as Dodge drop-in. So some of them interchange. Brownie does it, Sumitomo does it. Hub City, I think they do not. Cleveland does, and then all those other guys do.
I'm so sure about the Hub City, to be honest with you.
What's that?
I think Hub City is marketing and saying they're a drop-in.
Are they?
For Dodge.
But
I
certainly,
wouldn't swear to that, but I think I've heard that.
yeah, the Falks don't, the Sumitomos don't. So
everybody has a functional replacement,
yep.
but the imports are
All the imports
basically marketing as a drop-in.
Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense because they can't make their own, and so why would you know, it's like shoveling sand against the tide. You don't want to try to create a whole new market for an odd gearbox. They're going to follow the leader, and the leader has always been Dodge. And we did the same. I mean, we didn't fall off the tournament. So this is a drop-in. Those companies that I just mentioned, some will, some won't. So what you see here, obviously, is the shaft mount and then the screw conveyor drive. I don't think in the Flintstone program you're gonna see customers asking you for the screw conveyor drive, but it's available.
You will. You will.
You may.
In the asphalt plants, you will.
Sure you will.
That's right, yeah. So you'll see this, and as we get through it, I'll show you what Cleveland has done
The bag handling.
to make it a little
Exactly.
easier.
Terry, can
Yeah.
we go back to the term drop-in? As you said, bushings, tie rods, motor mounts. You're not talking about taking Cleveland bushing and putting it into a Browning gearbox or
Not a
Browning
Browning,
bushing.
Dodge. It'll go
I
into
meant
Dodge.
Dodge.
It's the same bushing.
So you could theoretically have a Dodge shaft mount, and if you needed a bushing, you could put the Cleveland bushing in the Dodge, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Backstop.
Sumitomo can't, they have their own design, but Cleveland can.
Yeah, I mean, I just assumed you meant you didn't have to change motor mounts or tie rods.
No.
You're talking about internal component parts would be,
Not internal.
not internal, but, well, a bushing would.
Accessory parts.
Okay, yeah.
The internal,
Not-
gearing.
not gearing.
Yeah, the gearing profile, the geometry of the gears,
But a
I've
backstop
never
would
looked,
be
but it's in
internal
all
part.
likelihood different than the Cleveland, different than the Dodge.
Yeah, you don't want to rebuild a Dodge with.
We have spare parts for them, and I'll show you that later, but again, it's only for the.
But you're talking standard accessories.
Standard
motor,
accessories.
motor arms, motor bases, backstops, bushings.
Right.
Not belt covers, because
And
they're kind of
torque,
weird.
yeah,
Everybody
belt
has
covers.
their own.
Yeah.
But the
yeah.
basic drive, the whole drive package, if you will, excluding the belt cover, you know, the safety. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, miscellaneous information, these are what you need to know, a little pointer thing. What you need to know, and I alluded to this before. Yeah, how about that? Cleveland Gear, U stands for Universal Shaft. And when we first introduced this gearbox, we introduced it as a shaft mount only. We did not have the screw conveyor drive. So the part number was CGSM, Cleveland Gear Shaft Mount. We then developed, through our partner overseas, the screw conveyor drive. And what we were offering, or what we brought to the marketplace, was a standard gearbox. By the way, there's one over here at some point you can look at it. You can use the same gearbox for either application. You have to buy a kit to convert the standard shaft mount to a screw conveyor drive. But it's drilled and tapped for that kit. So you can use one gearbox and service either application. It's good for distributors because they don't have to carry two separate boxes. So that's where the U came from. All right? These are the two most common ratios in the marketplace. Dodge will carry 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30, I think. We only cover the two most popular. Have no intention of covering any more, but that's going to cover probably 85, 90% of the applications in the marketplace. And the customer always has the ability to play with their V-belt ratio to get the specific driven speed they need. Okay. Here's the universal housing explanation. Okay. It's identical to, these two are identical except for the drilling and tapping to adapt to the screw conveyor drive.
Does Dodge do the same thing?
I don't know if Dodge does the same thing. I would imagine they do. Do you know, John?
I think they do. You mean for the holes drilled for the screw
Yeah.
conveyor adapter? Yes, they do.
Yeah, I thought so. Yep.
Yeah. It allows you to, you can buy what you hear in the marketplace is, and mostly from the distributor side. When Terry, if you go back to the picture of the screw conveyor accessory kit, or just that first picture. We'd stock that first gearbox up top. You can buy the accessories to put a screw conveyor together. However, you also can buy from the Dodges and the Brownings and the rest of the guys that are in the business an integral screw conveyor package. and
Dedicated
it is,
to something.
if I can say this, it's nothing external that's different here. This piece, everything looks the same, but that shaft back into that gearbox is integral. It's kind of like the gear motor design today.
Is it cut, there's a gear on the end?
Yeah, basically, you know, you're not taking, you know, for us, we stock this flange and this shaft, and there's a seal kit that you do,
Mhm.
and it bolts together. This is actually on the other side.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. To that unit, and you stock all those components. You can put a screw conveyor drive together for a guy, but occasionally you get a guy, and it's just a tad less expensive, but you don't see much of it. That they buy them as an integral kit, and they don't come apart. That's just, it's a little caveat to kind of ask and look for. I've mostly seen that at the ag farm industry.
Down in Jersey,
The stuff that's out there in the feed mills, because that's a lot of the 9-to-1 that's out there, to refer to it as 10-to-1. You see some 5-to-1 and 9-to-1, and that's typically in the farming, agricultural portion of things. So it's just a little something if you run into. Our ag industry for Flintstone is 15 to 25, and the screw conveyor stuff is always the modular product. I mean, it's very rare when it's not.
Here's the statement that all parts are interchangeable. Accessory parts are interchangeable. The adapter kits, however, are not. They're unique to Cleveland gear. And then, of course, here's the statement. They are sourced in Asia. Again, we're not trying to hide the fact that they are. And I wouldn't, don't look down when you say that. Look the guy in the eye and tell him it's made overseas. By the way, all your major industries today have plants in China. I don't care who they are. They all have plants in China. It's just a fact of life these days. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Cleveland Gear has had this association with this company for 10 years. So it's a well-established company. They have high-end new tooling. What's amazing is that when the VP of Sales for Cleveland went over to on one of his visits, he went over there and he said, "You wouldn't believe the machines they have over there. They're brand new." I mean, Cleveland Gear has some antiques in their facility. They've been there 100 years. You go over there, all the machine tools are new. All the hoppers, they're all brand new. So they generate excellent product. And of course, it's overseen by QC from Cleveland Gear. Here are your people that we talked about. Dodge TXT, okay. Worldwide, Hub City. You're right, Joe. There's a Hub City that does it good. Competitors, non-drop-in, Browning, Falk, Sumitomo, and Rex, which is part of Falk. And here are here's your Flintstone people right here. Dad, concrete, aquatic aeration, not exactly Flintstone. And belt conveyors, screw conveyors, pond aeration. That goes along with the aquatic aeration. The new Dodge gearbox that they came out with, what's that nomenclature that they have? This does not interchange with that.
TH. I believe it's TH.
Yeah. I don't know how much success they've had with it. I don't hear a lot about it. But they cranked up the ratings of it. But this does not interchange with that gearbox. This is the old, I'll call it their old. This is probably in, all the facilities up here are probably carrying that unit. Okay, available in sizes 2 through 9. There's a size 2 over here. The screw conveyor is 2 through 6. I have the kit over here as well for that. The sizing, of course, is based on ag classes 1, 2, or 3. And there's the following page will show you that.
Size 9 is what? What's that max size?
No,
I'm saying, what is a size 9? Traditionally, what's the max for size?
Well, I don't know, I think it's 4 and 15.
Oh, you might get what's in
Yeah, you'll see that. carburized, hardened, and ground gearing, which is industry standard. The shafts are alloy, hardened, ground gear sets and bearing seals, journals are designed to maximize durability. This is, all the commercials that you put out, that's pretty much what everybody says. Double lip seals, which is standard for these types of gearboxes. Oversized bearings. The bearings are probably no oversized in the standards in the Dodge, but that's just another bullet they put in their cast iron houses. Okay. Wow.
Probably make
Go
another-
to a slideshow.
Joe,
Top there,
it
slideshow.
is size 9 is 115, it's on
Yeah.
the board.
No, the very top of it now.
Oh, there you go.
Slideshow. Should be from current slide. To the left. On that sheet, there you go. Is that any better?
Yeah.
Sure.
Hell, I can't even read it. These, okay.
Try the glasses.
Down here are the sizes with the corresponding weights, if that's important to any of your customers, okay? That's the unit only, okay? Here's where you start to get into selections. This is your horsepower input if you want to size by horsepower. In most of your cases, well, I shouldn't say that. You may be asked to come up with a new design, new application. They want you to size their unit. But if they're going to give you the Dodge unit number, you're not going to have any issues. You won't have to refer to this chart. But these are, the input, the output RPM, the sizes, okay, and the ratios, corresponding ratios. They go all the way up to 125 at 15 to 1. That would not be available in a 25 to 1. That would be a size 9. Now, how do I change it? There you go. These are dimensional data that your customer may need to refer to just if he doesn't believe you. And all salesmen lie, when their lips are moving, they're lying. So this is the dimensional data for the shaft mount. If you go across there, if you want to take the time to compare it to the Dodge, you'll find that these dimensions all line up.
There you go, Joe, you're correct on that 415.
450.
Yeah, on the 9.
Yeah. Max floor size on the right hand side there.
Probably on.
Just be right a little bit more.
Probably need to get out of it.
Yeah, probably. Probably just expand that screen a little bit more, but went back to the other screen, you hit control and then just use your roller to increase the size.
Okay, here are your screw conveyor dimensions. Okay. 5.5 inch.
What, on your shaft sizes?
Okay, 3.
You'll go from 1.5 inches through 3 7/16, the actual drive shaft size.
There's your 3 and 7.
When you look at
3.4.
when you look at screw conveyors, the first thing you want to refer to is the diameter of the screw. That's the first thing you want to identify.
And here are your diameters for those corresponding 2 through 6.
Can you go back to that one, sir, please?
We will.
No, I just was going down the list along the 2 to 6.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in the middle. Again, this is,
Yeah,
you understand
yeah.
your brochure. Yeah.
3,
Yep.
3, 3, 7, 3 and 7, 3 and 7. Okay?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, belt guards, this is our design. One of the things that we make these here, we have them made here in Cleveland. you're not gonna find them to be the most competitive out there, because they're making U-less. But they're a good, solid belt drive. The motor mounts are shown down here, and again, the part numbering is, 2 Cleveland gear MM motor mount. So the 2 for the size and the corresponding gearbox motor mount. So the part numbering is pretty simple. There's your backstops. So you'll find that our pricing is very competitive on everything but the cars. Here's your accessories for the bushing kits. Again, interchangeable with the Dodge. Again, size significance, Cleveland gear, shaft mount to universal shaft mount. 2 CGB for bushing, and then the bushing range. 1.5 to 1.15, and then down the bottom here, 4.15. So pretty much covers the entire Dodge range, size of 229. This would be the conveyor accessory, screw conveyor accessory. Again, I have that over here. Here's the gland, the seals that Joe was referring to. Keeper plate and all the hardware necessary.
Only the one type seal, only a packing gland?
Yep.
Not a waste pack?
No, not at this moment. If that becomes something that the demand from the field, then it's not that difficult to add it. Everything here that I'm showing you here, because of the nature of the beast, when you import a product from anywhere overseas, whether it's Europe or the Far East, inventory levels have to be high because of such a long time on the water and out of the factory. The factory probably has it, but again, you're still waiting 4 to 6 weeks to get it out of the water through customs. So we have very high inventory levels here. It's not, you shouldn't have to go out there and worry about whether Cleveland gear has inventory available.
Joe and Terry, with the screw conveyor adapter kits, would it be reasonable to say that normally the screw conveyor shaft mount is at the top of the screw? Or would you see it at the bottom of the screw? And the asphalt plants?
You mean when it's in a vertical application?
Yes.
An incline, yeah.
Geez, I don't know that you're gonna see much vertical application for a screw conveyor.
Well, an incline.
Not vertical, but
Well,
An incline. That's what
It's
we
always
would.
going to be at the bottom.
yeah, it has to be. Yeah, I would think it would have to be.
Well, I've seen them at the top,
Yeah.
but they'll move them down to the bottom for maintenance purposes.
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up is with that adapter there, the housing or the adapter is you'll see a lot of guys when you're out there, if they're at the bottom, you'll see them filled with packing.
Yeah.
It looks like a string, and then they'll pack that with grease, because you're getting shit coming down that shaft that wants to crawl right down.
It's buried in the crap.
Yeah, I had one customer this year who went through a few shaft mounts, and I went down and took a look, and he had the packing, and he was putting oil in it, and I said, why oil this? Well, that's the way we've always done it. So let's try packing that with grease and see what happens, and stop killing the shaft mount.
Actually, with grease, that's going to be.
It almost sounds like, if they moved that to the bottom,
They did.
the worst thing that they could have done.
Oh, without a doubt.
You know,
So, yeah.
Again, if you're on the incline, your gravity's not gonna,
There's no doubt.
plus it's the low point.
Right. Well, they did it for maintenance purposes. They don't,
Yeah.
they don't have
Yeah.
to take out
How
a
about
huge
that?
ladder now.
Yeah.
Or a cherry picker.
Yeah.
I would never put grease in it, though.
No?
That's like, well, any of that material, whether it's dust or fine particles, embedded in the grease, and then it becomes a lapping medium. It'll lap them, as the shaft is turning in it. But, that's.
Yeah, and a lot of these, obviously the quarries, it's stone dust. It looks like dust, but it isn't. It's fine stone.
I always told them to pack
Whatever works for
I always
you.
told them to pack it with grease.
And
Well, you'll get a replacement order for shaft.
Well, no. Well, I haven't had the issue.
If it works, it works. There's a lot of Rube Goldberg stuff out there that works for people. You just kind of shake your head, walk away.
What exactly are they packing with grease?
Usually on that, on the backside of that flange there, that 4-bolt flange we'll call it, there's
Right.
an opening in
Well-
there. He probably has a piece there. That's not a solid.
It's gotta be in here, that they're trying, well, this is
No,
obviously
but it-
bolted up.
Right.
It's gotta be back in here.
That's correct. It's in between where they're putting the packing.
Back down in this way?
That's right. That's where they're packing it, and then they were just putting oil in it. Well, the oil pretty much has its way, and with grease, it's gonna sit there, and it'll keep that sand from going down through.
You're trying to keep the material from
Entering it in.
working its way back that drive shaft that goes into the auger, back into the reducer.
Right.
So is that a similar principle to the SKF 3-barrier solution, where you pack the housing with grease?
The third barrier solution is
Yeah,
in factories.
exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
the third
Yeah.
barrier solution is in factories, then you've got the double lip seal,
Yeah.
of course, the sealed spherical.
Okay.
Yep.
There's a lot of different ways people use to try to keep stuff from migrating in. I don't know, it's, I guess, customer preference. If it were me, I'd put micropoly in there.
Of course.
On the bearing, view that as
A lot of those drives on the screw conveyor drives, there's typically another flange bearing there, a mounted flange bearing.
right.
Typically that bearing, again, takes the brunt of that abuse from the materials. So a bearing usually is the thing that wears out first.
But you will see it without the bearings on top.
Sometimes you'll see it, that's what I was gonna get to,
Exactly.
sometimes they use the shaft mount as that first bearing. And of course, that just makes that gearbox more susceptible to.
Exactly, which was
that
the case here.
contamination,
Mhm.
you know. And, you know, you make one little mistake really mounting that thing and not putting that sealant straight,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, you're gonna have some early failures, so.
These are the output shafts. There's one over here, just, you wanna look at it. Here's where you connect your screw. Okay, and there's holes drilled here, here, and here. 3 holes in that.
I guess what I was getting at earlier with the integrated shaft, with the manufacturer doing the integrated
This,
shaft.
you're talking right here.
Yeah, so that matches the standard taper that the bushings have, and that's what makes it modular. In that integrated stuff, it's not the tapered bore anymore, and you don't know that. You know?
Well, and the other thing, and if that comes up, Joe said it, it's not real popular, but if it comes up, what that does is it forces that customer to go back to that manufacturer.
It really
that
does.
gearbox.
Yeah.
It's just like a gear motor, and, in my opinion.
That's where the female guys wanted it.
Yeah.
They did not want it in the modular
Yeah, in
system.
my opinion, gear motors, I mean, they're great, they're less expensive, they're, usually smaller packages, but from the end user standpoint, he's now captured. He has to buy it back from that particular company. And so that's where they get him. He's gonna pay a small fortune for a pinion gear because they know he has to get it. If you run into one like that, I try to sell him a whole new gearbox and just tell him, look, it's universal. You can buy it from me or anybody else that sells a Dodge drop-in. And you won't be captured, you won't be held captive by this particular gearbox manufacturer. So those, any questions on the shafts? Pretty straightforward, hardened shafts. And that, my friends, is it.
Maybe one question about bearings. You mentioned it about being robust bearings. One of Browning's pitches is that they use tapers on all shafts.
Mhm.
Do you know what you use
We use taper bearings, I believe.
on all shafts? On all sizes, on all shafts, input and output shaft? Obviously, output shafts is pretty standard. It's really the input shaft side of things that could be ball.
I believe we do. I believe we
You believe it's all
Yeah.
tapered all around?
I'll check on that, but I'm pretty sure we do.
All right.
Yep.
Terry, what's the recommended gear oil?
On standard, ag, in fact, I think I might have it.
Are they filled with oil?
Yes. Oh, let me go to this slide. We have obviously various price levels as you go through here, you can see. Okay. Yeah. These are the shaft mount prices here and the universal price below. We still have some standard units in our inventory that are not universal, and we're going to deplete those as we go.
Okay.
But this will be the new price once that inventory is depleted. And as you can see, we have various price levels. We're going to forego these price levels. What we're going to give Brown for this program is this deepest level here.
Wow.
Now that deepest level, if you were to put Dodge pricing up there to compare pricing, you will find, now again, this is book pricing, and Dodge and everybody goes off book very often. But the Dodge price, you're probably going to be anywhere from 40 to 60% below your Dodge pricing. So, I don't advocate selling on price, but these guys, it's been my experience, Joe, you can comment on this, and some of you other guys, when these guys are driven very often by price.
That's correct, Terry. If you don't mind, I spent a lot of time in the last month at the asphalt and quarry levels in Pennsylvania, and even in Delaware, not all the way down south, southern Delaware. But I can assure you, and it'll be part of my presentation later today that you asked me to put together, that it has been a very difficult year for the aggregate industry in the state of Pennsylvania. There's a lot of complaining going on that the state just hasn't, and the federal government hasn't been releasing money for road work and what have you. And as a result, pricing is a critical issue, probably more than ever, for the asphalt plants that are used to putting out 120,000 tons, and they're putting out 60,000 tons. They still have to maintain and repair. When you start throwing numbers of 40 to 60%, all of a sudden that what we only do Dodge changes a little bit.
I mean, historically, they've been low-ball pricing, and now with what you're telling me, it's probably even just worse now. They're going to, as long as you assure them that it's backed by Cleveland, and, you know.
What about a warranty comparison, Terry? I don't know what Dodge's warranties are, and I don't know what Cleveland's are. Like, is it 1 year?
Yeah, it's a 1 year. Yeah.
Okay. Now, that may change, by the way, over the next couple of years because it's cyclical in nature. Like, for example, Virginia and Ohio are going balls out in the aggregate industry. It's just that we're getting hit. Of course, John Boehner's the Speaker of the House, and he's from Ohio, and Virginia turned blue for the president.
Right.
So that's where all the money's
They
going.
get the money.
Yeah.
So you believe your list price is matching Dodge? Is that what you're?
Well, I don't know that the list
no.
price is, but
Okay.
the net is far, far below.
Okay.
Here's the pricing on all the accessories, and again, this is the deep discount out here. Okay. Screw conveyor and shafts. So we'll get that. Who's in charge of the pricing? You?
Send it to me. Between me and Dave, we're gonna build a bunch of numbers. So boy, if you can share me that spreadsheet, that would be the key to it. Inventory comes from where, Terry, and who do we buy from?
Cleveland, and it's if you buy $2,500 net, it's free freight.
And now does that ship out of Cleveland or
Ships out of
the
Cleveland.
IDC? Okay.
Okay. They have our modular gearboxes at the IDC, but not our shaft mounts.
Okay.
We're still working on it.
Okay.
And if
Well, I didn't think so, to be honest with you. I thought we were buying the modulars directly from
you do buy directly, but I think they carry our stock out there. I know you guys do buy it directly.
I think they pulled the stock back.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Salesman's always the last to know.
Yeah, so everything we purchase on the Cleveland side of things is directly from Cleveland. You know, we buy and pay Cleveland. So me and Kirk know this more internally than you guys have to worry about. Because it's all about who do you cut the purchase order to and who you paying. But I believe on the modular stuff, which obviously the shaft mount still falls into, is, it's still, there's a relationship still with the IDC that's still reporting, going back and forth about what is sold, through that line. There's an interesting one. What do you got there?
This is, replacement parts.
Oh, wow.
So you can maximize that window.
Yeah, I think if you just maximize that, we'll
There
get it
you
there.
go.
Cool.
These are, I mentioned before, that
That's good.
one of the concerns that customers had when they had our boxes out there was, well, what about replacement parts? And these, it's the input shaft, input side, input shaft, output side. These are very numbers,
Mhm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
What's a 33?
That's, your ball is your 6200.
Yeah, that's a ball on the
So-
input.
Well, just see ball only on the small one, on the two. Everything else changes to the tapered roll.
Right.
So, and it's gonna be tapered roll, right? Well, intermediate shaft is ball. Okay, so it's really just the size too. Everything else, everything else moves.
Charlie, I thought it was double rows on the outside, now I see 5 digits. Huh?
So
I
these
thought
are
it was double
very-
rows on the output.
No, they're
It's 5 digit, I can't.
But it's metric taper, so.
I know.
Yeah, yeah, which is not unusual because it's
Yeah.
Asian and it's all metric and the internals.
Good to see that.
These are the seals, okay? And these are the actual ratios.
Terry, hit your control key and hold it down. Your control key on your laptop, far left.
Nah, comes the glasses.
Try this.
Yeah.
Try your control key, lower left, hit it, hold it down, and then take your roller and just roll up, see if we increase the size of that. There, ooh, go a little slow. There you
What do
go.
you want to see?
There you
Well,
go.
just, I want to be able to see it.
That's good.
How's that, Joe?
That's real good.
That's a smart ass.
Now we can see it, there you go. And you can just let go and it'll stay at that size.
Yeah.
Joe, is that something you think that, now is that something you have published, Terry?
This?
Or is that-
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's why we put it up on it, so that we could get it out to you guys. Because some customers, distributors were asking for it because their customers were asking.
Is it on the website?
We don't, look, we're not in the seal business, we're not in the bearing business. So if somebody wants to know what it is, we're more than happy. We don't want an order for, a seal.
Interesting. Buying them from SKF, or at least using SKF numbers.
Yeah, I'm wondering myself.
Light time on the output seals.
Sure looks like it.
Yeah. Which I'm not really seeing anything, I mean, on the output seal, it's not that big a deal.
Joe, I don't know if I've ever seen this published by Dodge.
Huh?
Dodge publishes kind of information. I've never seen it.
Yes, they do, you gotta go ask for it, it's not in their books.
Okay.
With all the rebuild that we've done on the Dodge, we have
Okay.
the parts breakdowns, so we see. Interesting enough, on the Dodge, on the output seals, and I even think on the input seals, they're not standard. They're not standard inch, they are.
Bastard.
They're bastard, they're basically proprietary to the Dodge
Typical
shaft
Dodge.
mounts, I mean, and you gotta go back to Dodge, of course, their pricing for them.
Right.
Oh, it's hellacious.
So
Oh, I
I'll
do,
get
Joe.
this to you and
Different than
the
the
price.
other OEM.
Yeah, just forward me those and I'm in good shape. Yeah.
All right?
Very good.
That's the parts list.
Very good.
I don't think I have it, that's it for, shaft
Excellent.
mount.
So I need to ask Terry, if we're extending the 2.6 multiplier, the max multiplier for us for the program, which we've changed the program, right, Craig, to January?
Is that when the kickoff is?
I thought it was December 2nd. Rob hinted at the January date.
All right, so don't hold me to that, guys, but I think I hear we're gonna push it
Well,
to
the guys are
January.
supposed to get out there
But I
immediately.
think we're doing some, obviously some selling before that, but I don't think,
Okay.
Is there a reason that you can share with us as to why we're doing that, or is it not necessary?
I didn't hear the exact reason, so I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I'm not hiding anything there. I thought I heard between Tom and Rob that it wasn't going to start now until the pricing wasn't going to start until January 1st.
I think it's reasonable to say that probably 80 to 90% of all purchasing that'll be done by the customer customer is usually after January 1st, because a lot of them, when they shut down,
Probably.
they usually
part of the
close
reasoning.
between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
But there is some buying that is done, or at least planning,
Yeah,
so we'll have to be careful.
yeah. That's it. A good question. You know, you might get somebody out of the box that needs to do something and needs to do it before the end of the year.
And most likely because of their budgets, and
Yeah.
they probably don't want that
Yeah.
until next year's numbers.
Can't tell you
anyway.
the number of people that already said, well, I'd love to do something, but I got no money. I got nothing left.
Right.
You know, I don't have any
But,
money left.
I'll also get you guys, Brian Chitra is the product manager for this product in Cleveland.
Say his name again?
Brian Chitra,
It's not a gym.
Cichra.
Yeah,
But I'll
Jim,
include
that's
that
good.
in my email to you. So
Okay.
you have that. You guys have the contact numbers in Cleveland, so that shouldn't be an issue. You guys have my contact information.
Excellent.
So that's it.
Very good, Terry.
And by the way, I've been around long enough to be familiar with the Flintstone program from way back this year.
6, 7, 8
You guys used to do it.
9 years.
And in my opinion, it was a wonderful program. I thought it was very successful. I don't know how successful it was for Brown, but I thought it was a great.
Very successful. We had very good success.
So you guys are fortunate they're bringing it out again, rolling it out again, because I think it's a great opportunity for salespeople. And it's kind of catchy, the Flintstone.
Terry, do you see any of our competitors offering this kind of a
All right,
program?
let me, because that was one of the things I think you put in your bullets. Cleveland Gear in this area has no, what I'm gonna call authorized distributors. Your major competitors in this area, you know them all.
Oh, sure.
It's gonna be the chains and Transply. Is there somebody else?
Well, down in
Maybe
Philadelphia,
BDU,
you've got Bridge,
BDU.
BDU, and they seem to be.
We have
floating.
we will sell them, don't get me wrong. If Applied calls and says, I wanna buy a Cleveland shaft mount, they're gonna buy a shaft mount. It's not gonna be at that level. We have no association or master distributors set up in your area or your area. You guys are the beneficiary of this multiplier. So there's no way that if you go out there and somebody says to you, I got a better price from Cleveland already, it ain't happening unless he's working on a margin that's so
Yeah.
ridiculously low. You guys have the price advantage at the user level, and you have the price advantage as a distributor. There's no other associations, and we control the middle of the land. Now, Justin may have guys in Delaware, right? And he may have a guy in Virginia, but, and in Maryland, but for the territory that I'm responsible for, which is Eastern PA, Jersey, there's no one out there that's gonna get a better multiplier or the support. If a lead comes in, it'll come to Brown. We don't get a lot of leads, but if it comes in, it'll come to Brown. So, that's all you know.
Very good, Terry.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very
You
much.
bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
And by the way, I'm available for joint calls if need be.
Okay.
You guys will also